The night the heater died. The chill crept in subtly at first, a mere suggestion of coolness seeping through the drafty window panes. Maya, engrossed in sketching a fantastical cityscape, barely noticed. But as the hours ticked by and the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of bruised purple and angry orange, the subtle coolness transformed into an insistent, bone-deep cold. A shiver snaked its way up her spine. She tugged her oversized sweater tighter around her, a futile gesture against the encroaching frigidity. The apartment, usually a cozy haven filled with the aroma of art supplies and simmering creativity, felt like an icebox. Panic began to prickle at the edges of her mind. She glanced at the ancient, wheezing heater in the corner. It was silent, cold to the touch. A tiny, blinking red light mocked her from its control panel. No, 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 she muttered, scrambling to her feet. She attacked the heater with a screwdriver, poking and prodding at its dusty innards. A YouTube video, found after frantic searching, offered vague instructions and even vaguer hope. After half an hour of increasingly desperate tinkering, all she'd managed was a layer of grime on her hands and a throbbing headache. The apartment was growing colder by the minute. Her breath puffed out in visible clouds. The thought of spending the night shivering under a mountain of blankets was unbearable. She needed help. Reluctantly, her gaze drifted towards the door. Next door lived Mark. He was always kind, offering a gentle smile and a listening ear whenever they crossed paths in the hallway. But he was also older. Significantly older. And asking him for help with her broken-down heater felt like admitting defeat, like shouting her incompetence to the world. She hesitated, gnawing on her lip. Pride wrestled with practicality. Common sense, spurred on by the chattering of her teeth, eventually won. Taking a deep breath, she crossed the hallway and knocked softly on his door. The sound echoed in the sudden silence. A moment later, the door swung open, revealing Mark. He was dressed in a worn, comfortable-looking cardigan, his kind face etched with concern. "Maya. Is everything all right? You look frozen." Her words tumbled out in a rush, a jumbled explanation of the broken heater, the failed YouTube tutorial, and the rapidly plummeting temperature in her apartment. She avoided his eyes, focusing instead on the intricate pattern of his welcome mat. Mark listened patiently, his expression softening with each shivering word. When she finally trailed off, he offered a reassuring smile. "Of course, I'll take a look. Give me 2 minutes." He disappeared back inside, returning moments later with a small toolbox in hand. "Lead the way." Fixing more than just a heater. The rhythmic clang of metal on metal filled Maya's small apartment, a stark contrast to the persistent hum of the malfunctioning heater that had been her constant companion for the last week. Mark, kneeling before the offending appliance, worked with a quiet focus, the lines around his eyes deepening as he concentrated. He moved with a practiced ease, his weathered hands manipulating tools with a familiarity that spoke of years of experience. "So you said this thing started acting up a week ago?" he asked, his voice muffled slightly by the interior of the heater. "Yeah," Maya said, perched on the edge of her worn armchair, a steaming mug of herbal tea warming her hands. "It just stopped. No warning, no funny noises, just cold." Mark chuckled, a warm, rumbling sound. "Heaters are rarely polite like that. Usually, they give you a symphony of groans and whistles before giving up the ghost." He emerged from the heater, a soot-stained hand wiping across his brow. "Tell you what, this thing's older than I am, almost. But the parts are still good. Just a loose connection and a clogged filter." He proceeded to explain the intricacies of the heater's inner workings, using terms Maya didn't fully understand but found fascinating nonetheless. He spoke with a gentle enthusiasm, his passion for the subject infectious. He told a story about a particularly stubborn furnace he'd wrestled with for days, finally fixing it with a piece of chewing gum and a prayer. Maya laughed, the sound light and airy in the small space. It felt good to laugh, to relax, to simply be. As Mark worked, he shared anecdotes about his life, stories of his late wife, Sarah, their travels, and the simple joys they found in everyday moments. He spoke of her with such tenderness that Maya felt a pang of longing, a yearning for the kind of deep connection he described. Sarah always said I could fix anything, Mark said, a wistful smile playing on his lips. Except a broken heart, maybe. Maya's laughter faded, replaced by a quiet empathy. I bet you could fix that too, Mark. He looked up, his gaze meeting hers, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. Maybe, he said softly, before turning back to the heater. All right, let's see if this old girl wants to sing again. A few minutes later, a low hum filled the room, followed by a rush of warm air. Maya felt the chill that had been clinging to her bones begin to dissipate. It's working, she exclaimed, jumping to her feet. Mark, you're a lifesaver. He grinned, his eyes crinkling at the corners. Just doing my job, Maya. He packed up his tools, a satisfied air about him. I'll check on it again tomorrow, make sure everything's running smoothly. Thank you, Maya said, her voice sincere. Really, thank you. It wasn't just the heater she was grateful for. It was the warmth he had brought into her apartment, the laughter, the connection. She found herself looking forward to his return, a feeling she hadn't expected, a feeling that both excited and slightly unnerved her. Hot cocoa and study advice. The knock was softer tonight, almost hesitant. Maya practically tripped over her textbooks rushing to the door. A steaming mug sat nestled in Mark's cupped hands, the chocolatey aroma preceding him. Hot cocoa again, she asked, her voice a little breathless. He smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling. It's a study essential, right? Plus, I added a dash of cinnamon this time. Figured you could use a little warmth. She took the mug, her fingers brushing against his. A little spark, unexpected and unwelcome, zipped up her arm. Thank you, Mark. You really didn't have to. But she was undeniably glad he did. They settled at her small kitchen table, surrounded by open books and scattered notes. Maya sighed, running a hand through her already messy hair. This Victorian literature class is killing me. All these repressed emotions and hidden meanings. Mark chuckled. Sounds like real life, just with bigger dresses. He picked up her copy of Jane Eyre, flipping through it. Try looking at it from their perspective. What were the societal constraints? What was acceptable and what wasn't? Understanding the rules helps you understand why they broke them or didn't. His advice was surprisingly insightful. It wasn't just textbook regurgitation, it was about understanding the context, the motivations. That actually makes a lot of sense, she admitted, feeling a flicker of hope. He spent the next hour patiently guiding her, not giving her the answers but helping her find them herself. He explained the symbolism of the Moors in Wuthering Heights, the subtle rebellion in Pride and Prejudice. He spoke with a quiet passion, a depth of understanding that surprised her. As the cocoa cooled, Maya found herself less focused on Dickens and more on Mark. The way his brow furrowed in concentration, the gentle way he corrected her pronunciation of Bildungsroman, the comfortable silence that settled between them when they were both absorbed in a passage. When he finally stood to leave, the clock chimed 11. I should let you get back to it, he said, gathering his jacket. Thanks, Mark. Seriously, you're a lifesaver. She walked him to the door, lingering for a moment. I don't know what I'd do without your help. He smiled, a warm, genuine smile that made her stomach flutter. Anytime, Maya. Good luck with the exam. After he left, Maya leaned against the door, a hand pressed to her chest. Her heart was beating far too fast. She replayed his words, his gestures, the way his eyes had met hers. She picked up the empty mug, inhaling the lingering scent of cinnamon and chocolate. It hit her then, a sudden, sharp realization, she had a crush on Mark. A big one. And the complicated part wasn't just his age, it was the unexpected intensity of the feeling, the way it both thrilled and terrified her. This wasn't just friendly neighborly advice, this was something else entirely, something potentially dangerous and undeniably exciting. Confessions and confusions. Maya stared at the textbook, the words blurring into meaningless shapes. Thermodynamics swam before her eyes, mocking her inability to concentrate. Mark. His laugh, the way his eyes crinkled at the corners, the faint scent of sandalwood that clung to him, these were the things occupying her mind, not enthalpy or entropy. She sighed, pushing the book away. The heater was working perfectly now, thanks to him, but her brain was decidedly malfunctioning. A rapid-fire knock echoed through her small apartment. Maya Rodriguez, open up. I come bearing pizza and gossip. Chloe's voice, amplified by sheer enthusiasm, was unmistakable. Maya groaned, but a smile tugged at her lips. Chloe was a force of nature, and resisting her was futile. She swung the door open. Chloe breezed in, a large pizza box balanced precariously in one hand, a mischievous glint in her eyes. So she said, dropping the pizza onto the coffee table with a thud. Spill. I saw Mark leaving earlier. He was practically radiating charm. What exactly transpired during this heater repair? Maya blushed, fiddling with the hem of her t-shirt. It was nothing. He just fixed the heater. Chloe raised a skeptical eyebrow, grabbing a slice of pizza. Aha. And I'm the Queen of England. I saw the way you were looking at him the other day. You practically had hearts in your eyes. Okay, fine, Maya admitted, sinking onto the sofa. Maybe I think he's cute. Chloe gasped dramatically. Cute? Maya, that's an understatement. The man is Silver Fox personified. But. She paused, her expression turning serious. He's, like, 60, right? 59, Maya corrected automatically. The number felt like a lead weight in her stomach. Right. 59. That's a significant age difference, Maya. Chloe's tone was gentle, but the unspoken question hung in the air. Maya picked at a loose thread on the sofa. I know. It's ridiculous. I shouldn't even be thinking about it. But I can't help it. He's interesting, he's kind, and he actually listens to me. And he treats me like an adult, not like some clueless kid. I get it, Chloe said, taking another bite of pizza. He's different. Older men can be alluring. But are you sure this isn't just a crush, fueled by boredom and a malfunctioning heating system? Maya hesitated. I don't know. Maybe. But what if it's more than that? What if he feels something too? Chloe shrugged. Then you figure it out. Talk to him. See where it goes. Life's too short to worry about what other people think. Besides, she added with a wink, imagine the stories. Your grandchildren will be enthralled. Maya laughed, the tension easing slightly. You're terrible. But supportive. Chloe retorted. Look, just be careful, okay? And if he starts talking about his aches and pains, run for the hills. She grinned, grabbing another slice of pizza. Now tell me everything. Every glance, every touch, every single, heated moment. Maya rolled her eyes, but a small smile played on her lips. Maybe Chloe was right. Maybe she should just explore her feelings, see where they led. Even if it was a complete disaster, at least she wouldn't be left wondering what if. And maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't be a disaster at all. Art fair and awkward encounters. There's an art fair in town this weekend, Mark said, his voice a touch hesitant as he fiddled with the sugar packets on the table. I thought you might enjoy it. If you're free, of course. Maya's face lit up. An art fair? I'd love to. I haven't been to one in ages. She'd always enjoyed wandering through rows of canvases and sculptures, even if she couldn't afford to buy anything. The creativity was infectious. Saturday dawned crisp and sunny, the air carrying the scent of pine from the nearby hills. Mark met her at her doorstep, looking relaxed in a chambray shirt and jeans. The fair was bustling, a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds. Strains of live jazz mingled with the chatter of the crowd, and the aroma of kettle corn hung in the air. They wandered through the stalls, stopping to admire paintings of swirling landscapes, intricate pottery, and quirky sculptures made of recycled materials. Maya was drawn to a booth displaying hand-blown glass, the delicate shapes shimmering in the sunlight. "These are incredible," she breathed, tracing the curve of a cobalt blue vase. Mark chuckled. "They are beautiful. You have a good eye, Maya." They debated the merits of abstract versus representational art, laughed at a series of paintings depicting dogs in human clothes, and shared a bag of warm, sugary donuts. Mark seemed genuinely interested in her opinions, and Maya found herself relaxing, the usual anxiety she felt around new people melting away. "This is nice," she said, almost shyly. Mark smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "It is." As they rounded a corner, Maya noticed a woman standing near a display of woven tapestries. She was tall and slender, with a sharp, intelligent face. Her gaze was fixed on them, and there was something familiar about her. Mark stiffened beside her. "Sarah," he said, his voice tight. The woman Sarah walked towards them, her expression unreadable. She had Mark's eyes, the same shade of warm brown, but they held a coolness that Maya hadn't seen in him. "Dad," Sarah said, her tone neutral. "I didn't know you were interested in art fairs." Mark cleared his throat. "Sarah, this is Maya." "Maya, this is my daughter, Sarah." Sarah's eyes flickered to Maya, taking in her floral sundress, and the way she was clutching the half-empty bag of donuts. There was a brief, almost imperceptible pause, and then a cool smile touched her lips. "Nice to meet you, Maya," she said, but her eyes held a question, a suspicion. The air suddenly felt thick, and the scent of kettle corn was replaced with something sharp and unfamiliar. Daughter's disapproval. The scent of Sarah's lavender soap lingered in the air long after she'd settled into the armchair across from Mark. He'd just poured her a cup of tea, the steam curling upwards like a hesitant question mark. He knew why she was here. He could feel it in the tightness of her jaw, the way she avoided his gaze. "Maya seems nice," Sarah began, the word nice sounding brittle and forced. Mark took a sip of his tea, the warmth doing little to soothe the knot forming in his stomach. "She is. She's been a good friend." "Friend?" Sarah's eyebrows arched, a flash of something akin to disdain flickering across her face. "She's young, Dad. Very young. You barely know her." He set down his cup, the ceramic clinking softly against the saucer. "I've known her long enough to appreciate her company, Sarah. She's helped me with things around the house, kept me from feeling so alone." The word hung heavy in the air, a confession he hadn't intended to make. "There are other people, Dad. People your own age. You could join a book club, or volunteer at the hospital like you used to talk about doing with Mom." Her voice softened slightly, taking on a pleading tone. "I know, sweetheart, but Maya, it's different. She understands me in a way that, well, it's just different." He struggled to articulate the lightness Maya brought to his life, the way she coaxed him out of his shell without even trying. It sounded ridiculous, even to his own ears. Sarah sighed, running a hand through her sleek, dark hair. "I just don't want you to get hurt, Dad. She's 19. This friendship, it's not appropriate. People will talk." The blood drained from Mark's face. "I haven't done anything wrong, Sarah. It's an innocent friendship." He hated the defensive tone creeping into his voice. "Is it, though? Really? Or are you just lonely and grasping at the first bit of attention you get?" The words were sharp, like shards of glass. He flinched. "That's not fair, Sarah." "Maybe not, but is it untrue?" She leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. "Mom wouldn't have liked this, Dad. You know she wouldn't. She always worried about you being taken advantage of." That stung. Bringing his mother into it felt like a low blow. He felt a sudden surge of anger, quickly followed by guilt. He knew Sarah was just worried about him, trying to protect him from what she perceived as a threat. I think I'm capable of making my own decisions, Sarah. I'm not a child. He stood up, the chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Of course you are, she said, her voice softer now. But sometimes we don't see things clearly when we're vulnerable. I just want you to be happy, Dad. Truly happy. And I don't think you'll find that with Maya. She stood too, gathering her purse. Think about what I've said, okay? He nodded, unable to meet her eyes. The lavender scent of her perfume filled the air as she walked to the door, a constant reminder of the disapproval she left hanging between them. He watched her go, the front door clicking shut with a finality that echoed in the sudden silence. The tea in his cup had gone cold. The cold shoulder. The first sign was the empty swing set. Maya, humming a made-up tune, walked over to Mark's yard, expecting to find him tinkering with his wind chimes, or maybe sketching in his worn leather-bound notebook. The swings, usually occupied by Mark lost in thought, swayed gently in the breeze, unoccupied. She shrugged it off, maybe he was at the hardware store. The next day, she baked a batch of her grandmother's famous chocolate chip cookies, the aroma filling her small apartment. She carefully arranged a plate, the warm cookies practically melting the butter, and ventured next door. She knocked, waited, knocked again, the silence amplifying her growing unease. She could have sworn she saw a flicker of movement behind the curtain in the living room, but no one answered. He wasn't answering her texts either. Usually, he replied within minutes, offering witty observations or thoughtful questions. Now, nothing. The blue speech bubbles mocked her from her phone screen, unanswered. The confusion began to curdle into something sharp and unpleasant. Had she done something? Said something wrong? She replayed their last conversation in her head, searching for a misstep, a careless word. All she could recall was laughter, a shared appreciation for a fiery sunset, and the comfortable quiet they had fallen into as they watched the sky bleed into shades of orange and purple. The silence stretched into a third day. Maya found herself staring out her window, watching for any sign of him. The vibrant colors of the autumn leaves seemed to mock her with their ephemeral beauty, a reminder of the fleeting nature of things. A knot tightened in her stomach. She couldn't stand it any more. Taking a deep breath, she marched next door and hammered on his door, ignoring the tremor in her hands. Mark. I know you're in there. Open up. A long, drawn-out moment passed. Finally, the door creaked open, revealing Mark. He looked rumpled, his usually neat gray hair disheveled, his eyes shadowed. Maya, he said, his voice flat, devoid of its usual warmth. What's going on? She demanded, her voice trembling slightly. Why are you avoiding me? Did I do something? He shifted his weight from one foot to the other, avoiding her gaze. It's complicated. Complicated, she echoed, incredulous. What's complicated about saying hello, or answering a text? We were friends. The word felt flimsy, inadequate, even as she said it. He finally met her eyes, and she saw a flicker of something she couldn't quite decipher: regret. Fear. Maya, this isn't appropriate. I can't. He trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Can't what, Mark? Can't be seen talking to a 19-year-old. Is that it? The words stung as she spoke them, confirming a fear she hadn't dared to voice. The cold shoulder was more than just a silence, it was a judgment. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's not that simple. I need some space. He stepped back, the space between them widening, a chasm opening up where connection had been. The scent of his familiar pipe tobacco, usually comforting, now felt like a barrier. Space, she repeated, her voice barely a whisper. Okay. Turning, she walked away, the plate of cookies still sitting forgotten on her counter. The sweetness now tasted like ashes in her mouth. Conflicted feelings. The ghost of wood smoke clung to Maya's cardigan as they settled onto Mark's porch swing. The sky bled from a deep violet to a soft coral, echoing the disquiet within her. His invitation had followed the mending of her temperamental heater, a kindness as familiar as the swing's weathered planks. Yet, the air buzzed with unspoken truths, an undercurrent that hummed between them. He cleared his throat, the sound a stark intrusion on the stillness. "Maya," he began, his voice a gravelly murmur. "Something's been on my mind." He averted his gaze, focusing on his neighbor's meticulously trimmed lawn. I truly value our time together. Perhaps more than I should." Maya's pulse quickened. She'd sensed it, this burgeoning connection, this surprising magnetism. His confession sent a tremor through her, a blend of exhilaration and apprehension. "I enjoy your company too, Mark." She kept her tone even, attempting to lighten the gravity of his words. He finally met her gaze, his eyes betraying a vulnerability that resonated within her. "But it's layered, Maya. You're vibrant on the cusp of everything, and I'm—" He hesitated, searching for the right phrasing. "I'm concerned about the disparity in our ages. The potential judgment. And, frankly, about Sarah's reaction." Maya covered his hand with hers. His skin was warm, roughened by labor, a testament to his life's work. "Mark, none of that concerns me." She gave his hand a reassuring squeeze. "I appreciate you for who you are. For your attentive ear, your ability to make me laugh, your knack for fixing anything with a wrench and a smile." He turned his hand over, enveloping hers. "It's not that straightforward, Maya. This is uncharted territory for me. I haven't experienced anything like this well, it's been a while." He sighed, the sound weighted with the passage of years. "Sarah, she's fiercely protective. She worries about my solitude. But she also holds firm views on how my life should unfold." Maya understood perfectly. She knew the feeling of someone attempting to chart your course. "Your life belongs to you, Mark. Not her, not anyone else." She paused, her thumb tracing patterns on his palm. "And as for age, I'm not seeking a father figure. I'm searching for a genuine connection, someone who truly sees me." She held his gaze, willing him to believe her sincerity. "I see you, Mark. And I'm drawn to what I see. One cozy night at a time." Mark watched Maya disappear into her apartment, the scent of her vanilla shampoo lingering in the hallway. He stood there for a moment, the weight of the past few days settling on his shoulders. He'd spent so long guarding his heart, building walls brick by careful brick. But Maya was a wrecking ball in a sundress. He went back inside, the silence of his own apartment suddenly amplified. He walked to the window, looking out at the twinkling city lights. What was he so afraid of? He was lonely. He deserved happiness. And the truth was, he was drawn to Maya in a way he hadn't felt in years. He picked up his phone, his thumb hovering over her contact. He almost chickened out, then took a deep breath and pressed call. "Hey," Maya answered, her voice breathless. "Hey yourself," Mark said, a smile tugging at his lips. "I was wondering, would you maybe want to come back over? I made enough hot chocolate for an army." There was a pause. "Are you sure?" "I don't want to, you know, I'm sure," Mark said softly. "We can just talk. Or watch a terrible movie. Whatever you want." A few minutes later, Maya was back, wearing an oversized hoodie and fuzzy socks. She looked younger, more vulnerable. Mark led her to the living room, where he'd lit a fire in the fireplace. The flames danced, casting warm shadows on the walls. They settled on the couch, a comfortable distance between them. Mark handed her a mug of hot chocolate. "So," he began, "about what happened earlier." Maya fiddled with the string of her hoodie. I don't want things to be weird." "Me neither," Mark said. "Look, I know this is probably crazy. But I really like you, Maya. And I want to see where this goes. If you're willing." Maya's eyes widened. Really? Mark nodded. Really? But he added quickly, only if you're comfortable. We can take things as slow as you want. No pressure, I promise. A relieved smile spread across Maya's face. Okay, she said. Okay, I like that. Slow sounds good. They spent the rest of the evening talking about their families, their dreams, their fears. Maya confessed her insecurities about her art, her fear of failing. Mark shared his regrets about missed opportunities, his longing for connection. As the night deepened, the fire crackled merrily, and the city outside faded into a distant hum. Maya snuggled into the corner of the couch, her head resting on a throw pillow. Mark draped a blanket over her. Thank you, Mark, she murmured, her eyes already half closed. For everything. Mark smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile. Anytime, Maya. He turned off the lights, leaving only the warm glow of the fire. He knew it wouldn't be easy. They were from different worlds, different generations. There would be challenges, judgments, and doubts. But as he watched Maya sleep, her face serene and peaceful, he felt a surge of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. One cozy night at a time.